your chance and then you blew it.
That is the most absurd statement of the year.
Nice. Nice.
Oh, baby.
I'm in my zone, I'm feeling it.
Live from Rock Solid Studios in Granite Falls, it's time for MinneZona Sports, live with DJ Matty C. and Paul the Shield Vold.
And this is MinneZona Sports Live. We are back. Yes, claps all around. Episode 88. 88, I can't believe it. 88 episodes of this show. It's crazy. We are getting so much closer to episode 100. 100. So, but without further ado, I'm your host DJ Matty C, aka Matt Kelly, aka Callie, aka Matty C, etc., and all the way from Woods and Shore Studios in Aiken, Minnesota. Paul Volt, the Shield. What is going on, Shield?
It has been a short, crazy, and hectic week, but at least we got this to enjoy here for a Wednesday night. And you know what? It's not going to be so bad, especially with tomorrow being Thanksgiving. So at least there's that going for us.
There is that going for us today. And, not only that, Voldy, but we're obviously Tater Tot Hot Take. But we're talking about 84. Why are we talking about 84? Well, he had a big Thanksgiving thing. So... deal in 1998. So we will be talking about that for the North Remembers. Get your 84 jerseys out. We're back home. So it's going to be pretty fun chatting about that for the North Remembers. Then, obviously, ARA. We got some really cool stories this week. I think we'll have some winners on that one. But, Voldy, we have to talk about that Vikings game. Vikings-Packers game. The Vikes come with the victory over the Green Bay Packers. Claps all around. We are loving it. And hopefully we can get things going against San Fran. Mm-hmm. Coach Payne's San Francisco 49ers. So fingers crossed. But anyway, let's get it going with some Tater Tot. Hot take.
Fresh out of the oven, it's Tater Tot Hot Take.
All right, it is time for some Tater Tot Hot Take. Skol, Vikes, Skol. We start off Tater Tot Hot Take with the Vikings because, of course, what a game. What a game, Shield. What a game, Zoners, this past Sunday. Absolutely fantastic. There's a lot of good things that happened. There are some things that we're kind of left scratching our head and or, not I wouldn't say pissed off about, but we want to make those adjustments. But the fact of the matter is the Vikings beat those Green Bay Packers, defeated Rodgers, defeated Devontae Adams. We took them down. We're feeling good about it. But who's a little peeved about the loss is some Packer fans, Voldy. But it's not the Packer fans that we know, because to be honest with you, I haven't heard from any of them. Zero.
Nope. They know their place.
Nothing. I've heard zip. But there are some Packer fans whining and complaining. There's a piece with Star Tribune. The Zoners probably seen this too. Well, the overturned call on Darnell Savage. He had the interception. Should have been an interception. He dropped the ball.
He did. That's the
exact right call. Voldy, your thoughts on this whole BS on social media and the interception by Darnell Savage?
First initial thoughts was all right, that's a horrible time for that to happen as well, especially when the Vikings were drive to, obviously win the game. And then you throw that interception. Look, he didn't survive the ground. The catch didn't survive all the way through the catch of the process, whatever that means nowadays. And apparently the officials said, yeah, that wasn't a catch. It wasn't an interception. Lo and behold, there it was. And worked out to the Vikings' favor in a big way. I think everybody just needs to stop complaining about it, especially if you're a Packers fan.
Let me read a couple of the tweets, then we'll get into let's get some Zoners real quick. Skol, Easy A says, yes, Skol. We're loving it right about now. Stay aggressive on offense, says Victor. Yes, I would say so too. And I think you got to keep going to JJ, man. And he had I don't know how many targets, but he did have 8 catches. And it was for 163 yards, 2 touchdowns. I won't say should have been 3. He was down at the 1, I will say. But
yeah, it was a tough angle.
It's a tough angle, like you said, Voldy. But here are some of the tweets. I wonder if this dog crap, obviously they didn't say crap, but you can make out what they said. This dog crap league and these dog crap officials are ever going to figure out what a catch looks like. Which is true. There is some truth to that sentiment, but at the same time, wasn't a catch. The Packers would have won the game after the Savage interception. Well, who says that they're going to go? Yeah, it's very likely, but you still have to go down the field. You still have to get in field goal range. Mason Crosby, he missed a 37-yard field goal. Just FYI there. So would have won the game with Savage interception. The fact is the officials made the wrong call. No, they made the right call. The ground cannot cause a fumble either. It was a catch. He had both hands holding the ball when his knee touched the ground. Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. But anyway, Kirk Cousins, he was aggressive, Voldy, zoners. He was aggressive on that pass. And, yeah, it could have been – it would have been awful because, Rodgers gets the ball back, gets him in the field goal range, and then it's game, okay? But now that it's almost – I don't want to say taking the training wheels off because I wouldn't say that. But Kirk Cousins was aggressive and throwing the ball in the game, and he exposed that secondary. He really did. And, the long shots down the field – the throws to Thielen. Dalvin got going, towards the end of the game, which is perfect, is what you want. But they can't find a way to stop JJ. And they didn't. They couldn't. Kevin King, terrible. Okay? Absolutely terrible. And Eric Stokes, I believe he went up against JJ at Georgia when he was at LSU. Cooked him there, and he's cooked him again. So it's pretty apparent what we got going on there. So offensively, we're great. Defensively, there's some good moments. I think there were some nice sacks and things like that. And your guy, B-Rob, catch of the day, we like that. That was pretty awesome. Ripping the cheese hat and throwing it. Yeah. That's just amazing. So. But it was a fun game to watch, nonetheless. Voldy, what are your kind of overall thoughts on this game here? And obviously, towards the end with Rodgers, one play, touchdown, they tie it up, and then we go down, kick the field goal and everything. But what are your overall thoughts of the game? What do you think?
I just like the fact that the Vikings actually came out and responded. Obviously, too, the Vikings had a chance. They've been very opportunistic this season, and when it comes to them maybe getting up early and then next thing you know, they're down a score or two, then they just kind of let it ride out from that point, not going out and responding back with scoring drives of their own. That's what we saw on Sunday against the Packers, too. So being able to go out there and sustain drives while also, coming out, if Green Bay scored, then he came right back and scored the other way once again, being able to capitalize on that. I also really liked how the defense was able to make Aaron Rodgers uncomfortable pretty much the entire game. Yes, he did have some big throws, and it was able to get that one play, touchdown throw there to, obviously put the Vikings in a situation where they needed to score at the end of the game. But other than that, really, the Vikings defense was able to create a lot of pressure and force a lot of errant throws early on. I mean, you could throw in the whole injury situation with Rodgers and obviously his second game back after coming off the COVID week too. So, I mean, you can put that in there, but at the same time, I mean, the defense was, playing with their hair out. I mean, they were just all over the place, and seeing Harrison Smith in on the act on some safety blitzes as well, creating matchups with that and getting getting some turnovers as well, while also just putting pressure on Rodgers. I think overall was probably one of the best games the Vikings defense has played. I mean, they did give up 31 points, but ultimately, they got off the field when they needed to.
if we wanted to deep dive into it, we won't. But I think it was more with Xavier Woods struggled this game. I think it's fair to say.
Big time.
I think he struggled in this game, and to be honest, going against Rodgers, it's not easy. But still, you can't let them go down the field and score like that. But you left too much time for Kirky. That's all I gotta say. And we got a lot of traction with the tweets and whatnot, but. The one thing I'll say that I liked about it, or actually, you know what? Before I get into, I want to get to the zoners. We got to get to our zoners first. Packets, it's all right. He corrected himself, but Packers now have a Minnesota kicker curse. Well, they've kind of had it, but at the same time, I kind of look at it and say, well, it could be. I mean, Mason Crosby's kind of streaky. I think that's the best way to describe it. And he's made some pretty clutch kicks. But at the same time, he has his downfalls too. They need that curse after so many years of pretty damn good kicking. LOL. It's true. It's very true, Victor. I like that. But and also Victor's given us a nice update. 2-0 Wild. Sturm shorthanded. Let's go Wild.
Nice.
So they're taking on the Devils tonight. Great start. Good start after the loss against Florida, I believe. So, But what I kind of liked, Voldy, Zoners, is that Kirk Cousins went out there and he did his job. He went out there and he was throwing dimes, man. I mean, he was throwing dimes left and right. He got sacked a couple times, which is a little bit of a concern. Darisaw gave up a little, but again, rookie mistakes, which again can happen. Luckily, there are a couple calls that got called back. Kirk throws an interception in the red zone, but then gets hit for roughing the passer. I mean, helmet to helmet. I don't think you can complain about that one. It was pretty apparent what happened there. So that got negated, and then obviously the interception we got. Again, I'll admit, we got lucky. But defensively, we were able to confused Rodgers in the first half. Second half, Rodgers started to figure some things out. But when you have and again, he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. Let's be honest here, he is. But when you have a Hall of Fame quarterback, it's hard to stop sometimes when they're hot. And he was getting warmed up. So with that being said, Kirk Cousins was amazing. Justin Jefferson, Thielen, clutch. Just clutch. He's just, the catches that he makes, you're like, he just keeps doing it. And it's amazing to see. Here's a guy undrafted, yada, yada. But it's just, he does it time after time after time. And Dalvin got going good too. So defensively, I think, Pat Pete still coming back from injury. There's some guy, and Mac Alexander. There was one play where Rodgers called timeout and Devontae's wide open in the end zone, and that was a mess in itself. Yeah. But that kind of peeved me a little bit. But again, a win's a win. We'll take the win. Greg Joseph, props out to him. He missed the extra point earlier in the game. Comes out, kicks the game-winning field goal. So good for him. I'm very happy for Greg Joseph. I feel some assurance, but I don't want to feel too comfortable now because I did say it with Bailey and everything like that. Yeah, I don't know. So Voldy, let's wrap this up. Move on to the Gophers versus the Badgers. Another big game. Another Wisconsin versus Minnesota, but they got San Fran coming up here. We know the situation recently today with Everson Griffin. We wish the best for Ev. We're happy to hear that nobody was hurt or anything like that, and he's in a safe place now. So I don't think he will play on Sunday, but I don't know. It's a long shot, but we're going to be down. The Vikings are going to be down some defensive linemen. And but you still have guys, Dalvin Tomlinson, COVID, things like that. So going into this game, you have to go to the West Coast now, Voldy, and San Fran. So what are your thoughts going into this game against the Niners?
Yeah, I mean, being down a couple of defensive linemen when we were already down a couple defensive linemen, I should say, being down a couple of more, those guys is going to hurt in the grand scheme of everything, especially for the Vikings defense that, played great this past week, and they're going to need that same kind of effort going up against the likes of Jimmy Garoppolo and crew. I mean, if they find a way, the defense finds a way to slow down, if not shut down, Deebo Samuel, I mean, that's been their main guy as of late. You're going to have to pick one of the two. Do you want Deebo Samuel to beat you, or do you want George Kittle to beat you and fill in all the other spaces in between? But it's the same situation. They're able to get to Garoppolo. I mean, they've got a pretty decent chance. I mean, this Niners team isn't the same Niners team that went to the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. There's been a little bit of change, a little bit of turnover, and you know what? There's some hot water under that seat for Shanahan right now. So, I mean, if the Niners here end up taking an L against the Vikings, I mean, that's certainly going to be very interesting for his situation. But I'm looking at it from the perspective of the Vikings. I mean, they got to have the same game plan offensively. Stay aggressive, go fast, go quick, get Jefferson the football, let him do the work. And you know what? You just got to play fast and continue to be aggressive on those drives. And I mean, it worked out great this past week, and they got to do the same coming up here on Sunday too against the Niners.
Must win, Victor says.
Oh yeah,
and I couldn't agree more.
Big time.
Couldn't agree more with Victor on that. Playoff implications right here for both teams. I mean, this is huge. Right now, as it stands, Voldy Zoners, that the Vikings do have the last playoff spot as of right now, or second to last, or however it's put together. This playoff format's weird. Let's be honest, but this has playoff implications, and you're going to the West Coast. The Niners, they're not that good, but offensively they always have something different. They always have something that guys in motion. They're going to run the ball. Sometimes they'll ground and pound. Sometimes they'll sometimes they'll go to Ayuk. Sometimes they'll go to Deebo Samuel. He's one heck of a player too. So you got to keep an eye on him. I think defensively, Zim can figure it out. Offensively, not too worried. Their corners, I mean, their corners aren't that good, and I think we can take advantage of that. So I think when we go to San Fran, I think they're going to be okay. I think they're going to win. To be honest with you, I think we can beat San Fran, but then again, I could see us, losing to San Fran. And if we take this as coming off a high against the Green Bay Packers and then having a dog crap game against the Niners, but it's going to be a challenge nonetheless. It's going to be a challenge for the Minnesota Vikings, especially with the situation at defensive tackle and defensive end for that matter too. So we keep our fingers crossed that guys can stay healthy and whatnot. So, but it'll be an interesting game on Sunday. So we'll keep our eyes on that. But a game that's happening on Saturday: Badgers, Gophers. Let's go! Battle for the axe again. Let's just say that Tanner Morgan has got to have one hell of a game. Like, he's got to have the best game of the freaking season, Voldy. Wisconsin, we all know how they run their offense. It's very similar to ours. They always have a good running back. They always have, their quarterbacks really are the best either. But I think they have a chance to win. But Tanner's got to get it rolling. Voldy, what do you expect in the battle for the axe this weekend?
Well, unfortunately, I don't expect a Gophers victory in my mind. I mean, I had little expectations to begin with the Iowa game. I said it was going to be a loss, but I thought, you know what, maybe they had a shot towards the end of it. And, well, we all know how that turned out for the battle for Floyd of Rosedale. But, I mean, looking here at the numbers, the spread as well for the Badgers and for the Gophers, I should say. It's not looking too good towards the Gophers side, like we'd been talking about. Obviously, Tanner Morgan's going to have the game of his lifetime as well. Indy now the all-time winningest Gopher quarterback or something like that, and program history, some sort of record with that too, which is a sight to behold within itself for him. looking at some of the numbers, it's leaning more towards the Badgers side, especially on the defensive side. I mean, they get a lot of takeaways. They have as many takeaways, I think, as the Gophers probably have combined as well, with giveaways and takeaways too. They're dead even in giveaways and takeaways at 21 apiece, while the Gophers are -4 in the turnover department as well, with only 10 takeaways. Actually, they're +4, I should say, with 14 takeaways to 10 giveaways as well. So, I mean, there's at least that, but still not the numbers that you're going to see. I think this one's going to be more of a defensive battle as well. Which team's going to shut down the other one more effectively? Because if Tanner Morgan doesn't have this game, it's going to be a long afternoon and evening for the Gophers too. So, but if he gets on a roll too, and if he starts connecting with the guy, Ottman, Bell, and those guys as well, get the run game going, maybe see a little bit more of Kramer out of his role too, kind of filling in the Seth Green role in his time. But I could very well see this being a tight one. It could be one of those fluky victories for the Gophers to win Paul Bunyan's axe. I don't know how convincing it's going to be, but it's going to be something. So, I mean, I think it's going to be more of a defensive show as well. Which team's defense is going to shut down the other team's offense? That's what I got going on in my mind with this one. I just right now on paper, it doesn't look good for the Gophers.
Yeah, it doesn't. And I just want them to have a game where they're able to pass the ball. And Tanner's had some moments, but it's way too inconsistent. I want them to go down and do something that Wisconsin isn't expecting. And what I mean by that is maybe a couple trick plays here and there. Now, don't do it right away but at specific times when you think we can take advantage of them right here. And if you do it, okay? Now, a lot of people, the Fleck extension, there are some people, I'm a fan of it because I believe in what Fleck's doing. But with a guy like Tanner Morgan, you got to have more. You have to have more with Tanner Morgan. And we can run the ball all we want, but if Wisconsin stops to run, they're in big trouble. Big trouble. And if you want to get Paul Bunyan's axe, Tanner's got to make some plays. And we can't have Tommy check down type of BS here. Wisconsin's too good for that. Okay? Now, I agree with you, Voldy. I look at their defense and they're solid, but I think we can beat them with the run game. I really think we can beat them with the run game. Now, do I think they're going to win the game? No. And the reason why I say that is I think they're going to force Tanner Morgan to make plays, and I just don't think he has it in him. I've been very critical of Tanner Morgan. I think he's a great leader. I just don't think his play has backed up a lot of things. And is he the all-time winningest quarterback in program history? Okay, that's fine. Then prove it. You have to prove it on Saturday. Prove me wrong, prove Voldy wrong. Hopefully they can. So we'll see. Kerf Doctor says, I would take a win over Wisconsin versus a mediocre bowl game hosted by a toothpaste brand. Oh, Kerf Doctor. When you're on point, my friend. That's a good one. But I agree. And Victor says fair. That's fair. So it's perfect. I mean, wouldn't you, Voldy, 100%, you just take a win over Wisconsin, then go to a stinking bowl game,
Yeah, I would probably take that, honestly.
Okay, well, there you go. There's your answer. So, I don't see them winning this game. I want to be optimistic. Voldy. I'm just not feeling it. I'm just not feeling it. I don't feel good about it, but they can make something. If they want to make something happen, make it happen. 3 p.m. Central Time at Huntington Bank Stadium. So roll the boat, Sky-U-Ma, go Gophers. That's all I got to say. There's something. We'll leave it like that. So, all right, Voldy. Thanksgiving's coming up, and I feel like during this week, or maybe a couple days before, things like that, there's always a specific game that gets brought up.
A lot.
A lot. A lot. And
For good reasons.
For good reason. For good reason. Exactly. And people are probably wondering why I'm wearing 84. Well, the reason why I'm wearing 84 tonight is because we're talking about the game that Moss had in 1998. And we were 4 years old at the time, Voldy, and everything, but we hear about it a lot, and I do have some background on this game, too. So, we'll talk about, Moss, three catches, touchdowns, and then 3 catches, 3 touchdowns, and you go into Dallas. And there's a lot of backstory with this. People know the story. Moss gets back at him for them not drafting him, yada, yada, yada. We're going to be talking about that. So it's been a while for the North Remembers. So let's get it going with the North Remembers.
These are the moments enshrined in Minnesota sports history. The North remembers.
The North does remember. The North does remember this game. Like we said, we're a little young at the time, but Voldy, Moss destroys the boys. We love it. And he said, "Happy Thanksgiving." You got good old Denny Green back there. R.I.P. to Denny Green. But it was a game where I wish I saw it. I wish I did, but unfortunately, a little too young. But that's okay. Yep. That's okay. But he absolutely destroyed the Cowboys. And if it's against the Cowboys, it's great. And that was the year when the Vikings went 15-1. If people, all remember that. The Cowgirls got torched by the Super Freak. They call me the Freak, man. Pull your 84 jerseys out. So we love it. We love it. But anyway, getting back to it, 1990, 15-1. We all know what happens at the end, but we're talking about this. This is Thanksgiving. Since Thanksgiving's tomorrow, we thought this is the best way to go about it. So the backstory with the Moss thing, Zoners, Voldy, is Randy Moss goes to the Vikings are taking on Dallas Cowboys on Thanksgiving. This is prime time. Great game. John Madden on the call, Pat Summerall. So 2 legends right there. Going back a little bit, Moss, got drafted a little bit later. It's very similar to another receiver that we know too. And he's going to Dallas, and this is big. And you're going against Aikman. You're going against Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin. Those guys won Super Bowls. It's crazy. And the Vikings go in there with Randall Cunningham. Back up, obviously, I think it was Brad Johnson was the starter. He gets hurt. But Moss, little did they know that Randy Moss felt a little slighted because the Cowboys were insinuating that they were going to draft him in the 1998 draft. They didn't do it, but the Minnesota Vikings did. Now, this game, you go into Thanksgiving, Moss is like, I'm going to put on a show. And good Lord, he put on a show. He mossed people left and right. Voldy, 3 receptions, 163 yards, 3 touchdowns. Touchdowns of 51, 56, and 56 yards. It's just amazing. The amount of speed that he had on a lot of these routes, and he was mossing people and whatnot. 3 catches, 3 touchdowns. That's almost unheard of now in football. But you get your targets and everything like that. But in this, he absolutely torched them. Just set them on fire. Absolutely set them on fire. So I'll get your thoughts here in a second. You got mossed. Exactly. You got mossed, man. But well, you 84 jerseys out. Added to the dictionary, LOL. Yeah. I think it's a good idea. I think it's a great idea. Voldy, this was the beginning of straight cash, homie. And he had a fantastic year. One of the best rookie seasons we'll ever see. And obviously, JJ had his as well. Voldy, every time that this gets brought up, I mean, do you love it even more, or do you just kind of like, I wish it would kind of, we would kind of bury it a little bit, but I don't think you can, because
No.
I feel like this is one of the biggest moments in Thanksgiving history. Voldy, what do you think?
No, this is one of the moments that's going to be played forever, and it's never going to get old. I mean, 3 catches, 163 yards, 3 touchdowns, and the fact that Dennis Green had to tell Randy Moss, hey, don't run so fast. Randall can't throw it that far on the first play, which resulted in a touchdown for the Vikings too, is just absolutely the standard bearer of what Thanksgiving games should all be about. And obviously it was a massacre for the Cowboys if you're a Cowboys fan, but don't worry, you always get the Thanksgiving game, so you're fine in that regard. But for the Vikings to get this opportunity to show off on the primetime stage and under the lights as well, show off their nice new toy that they had in Randy Moss, and a season that was storybook that did come on to a sour end, but we won't talk about that. That's just, I mean, it's never going to get old. Seeing those highlights, seeing those numbers thrown up on the screen, Randy Moss saying happy Thanksgiving to everybody, and then him and Dennis Green taking in and getting a turkey leg for the road as well in the post game with John Madden. That's always great to see. I just love the fact that that this continues to be one of the things that, at least a positive thing that keeps getting brought up about the Vikings, because, well, some of those positive things are a little too few and far between in this regard. But I mean, seeing this and just hearing all the stories behind it as well, and obviously in his time that making some of those great plays in his rookie season, believe it or not, and sticking it to the Cowboys for not drafting him. I mean, there's no better way to go out and prove them wrong by going out there, 3 catches, 3 touchdowns, and over 160 yards receiving. It works every time. I love seeing it. I want to see it every day, but I wouldn't say it that far.
Well, yeah.
But I want to see it every Thanksgiving at least.
Yeah. And Victor said you never bury this game. No, you don't. And the thing is, you keep it going. You absolutely keep it going. You remind those Cowboys fans. But then again, we did gift them 3 Super Bowls. But that's a different. Yeah, we can. Randy Moss got him back. So that's all we ought to say. So the first touchdown, flea flicker. Okay, Robert Smith, Randall Cunningham. And Moss was saying, and I was watching the video again because I feel like I watch it every year, but it's still, I mean, it's just so great. But, they do the flea flicker. Moss, Moss is everybody, yada, yada. But on the second one, they left Moss in single coverage. Foldy, what are you doing? Well, I mean, seriously, Dallas, what the hell are you doing? But at the same time, doesn't matter. You do that, you're going to pay for it. And they did. The funny part about that is that Randall Cunningham saw this. He looked over to Randy Moss. He smiled because he knew he's going to burn this guy. He's going to cook him. And boy, did he ever. And it's absolutely crazy to me why the Cowboys didn't double cover him on that, and unless they just were too dumb to figure that out, I don't know. But Randy Moss, with the train coming by, that's kind of what it was for the Cowboys. They're just getting destroyed, absolutely destroyed. I mean, it's just a train going by. Anyway, but no one can match him. I mean, he was that fast. He was fast. And then the jumping ability, and he would just find a way. He was just unbelievable. And, Moss, I think, wanted to stick it to the Cowboys. And, he ate the turkey legs and everything like that. And Jerry Jones, I don't think he was too happy about how that
No,
thing
probably
went down.
not.
But that's okay, because everyone was enjoying every second of it. And then the third touchdown we can talk about too is that he caught it, got by the defender, kind of went around him, and then he just took off. Just absolutely he 0 to 60 like that. I mean, obviously not 60, but you get my point. It was fast. He goes right by the defender, scores a touchdown, and people were put on notice. People were put on notice now with Randy Moss. He made his mark in the first game, But I think this was a game where you sat and you're like, okay, this dude is freaking legit. He is that good. Now, Dallas just couldn't figure it out. And then here's a quote here, too, and we're going to get to the zoners. Am I still mad at the Cowboys? Man, I always carry a certain chip on my shoulder for the Cowboys. That Randy Moss said in 2010. And I think that's when he was with the Vikings briefly, but it wasn't good. So anyway, let's take a look at what Victor's got to say for us. You don't single cover Moss. Hell, even if you double Moss, he's probably winning.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of like, Calvin Johnson, too. It's like he's still open if he's double. He's still open if he's triple. I mean, even triple. I mean, if you throw it up to him, he's going to come down. And that was Moss. And Randall Cunningham was able to get it to him. And that's the main thing. And that's why they were so good. The three deep, Carter, Jake Reed, those guys. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And you really can't play down this game. I mean, Brian Billick, he was our OC at the time, too. So it was a game that you can't forget. You can't forget. And it gets brought up every Thanksgiving. But we're okay with that. We are definitely okay with that. But let me bring it into now. Okay, let's bring it into now real quick. And then we'll move on to ARA. But Voldy, fast forward to now.
Mm-hmm.
There's a guy by the name of Justin Jefferson.
Yep.
He broke records his first year. Should have won Rookie of the Year. We all know that. We've all talked about that. But, are we seeing, and I'm not saying, he's like, are you Randy Moss 2.0, things like that. But this is very eerily similar to what Justin Jefferson has done. I think his coming out party was against Tennessee last year. But just kind of the comparison between Jefferson, I think Jefferson is a really good route runner. He can go up and get it and whatnot. Because everyone thought, oh, he's just a slot guy. And then people passed on him in the draft. This is literally the same thing as Randy Moss in some aspects. Not every aspect, because there are some concerns coming out of college with Moss. But what are some similarities you see with Justin and Moss, Voldy?
You just look at the fact that coming out, they were receivers that just fell right into the Vikings' lap, and they were very happy to have that happen to them as well because, Justin Jefferson should have been picked, well before the Vikings had the opportunity to pick him up, and lo and behold, fell right into his lap, and here we go, and off and running that they went. Obviously, too, you look at some of the numbers and the similarities, both of them starting off with the number 18 their rookie season. And, we all know that Randy switched to 84 for that reason in his, his first year, too. It was issued the number 18 to start off with the Vikings in training camp. And you can see the size differential as well, just getting off the line of scrimmage and trying to make defenders miss, but also finding the right space as well. Because, Randy back in the day was just a guy, he's going to go out there and try to beat you as well. And you can see that a little bit at the same time with Jefferson, but Jefferson is also a receiver too. He's going to find the open space. He's going to create where he can as well. But if you need, a small window to make a big catch, he's going to go out there and get that too. And Randy made a career out of doing stuff like that as well, while also taking the top off the defense as well. They've got the size, they've got the speed as well to their advantage. And, there's a lot of great similarities. We're just hoping that this time around with Justin Jefferson, that can stick around for quite some time and maybe even put a Lombardi trophy or two in the trophy case. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah. No, I see what you're saying there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think similar in the ways of what impact they gave. And that Moss was a huge proponent of that. They're both guys that know how to get the job done. And, and Moss, I think, at times would get too much into himself with Moss being Moss. But I also think that Justin, too, he does kind of like the limelight too. But I think these guys, they're team guys. And I've seen what Justin has done in the community, and he's been fantastic. He's taken photos with people, selfies, things like that. I think that might be the age of social media and whatnot. Who knows what. Moss has been great, in his later years too. But It's another similarity that I look at too is the route running. I mean, is pristine, right? And Moss would go up and get it. He would make some nice routes, unbelievable catches, and Justin did that this past Sunday, literally. And he, the toe drags that he has, he goes up. I mean, if it's a 50-50 ball, I'm taking my guy over whoever. It'll be interesting to see how that Jalen Ramsey and Justin Jefferson matchup will go. But that's later down the line. But Moss, I just think Moss, whenever he was hot, he stayed hot. And that's exactly with Jefferson. If you get Jefferson going in a rhythm, it's not going to end well for you. And that's the two similarities I look at and whatnot. There's some differences, but the impact that they have is kind of the main thing. So, Victor says they're both dogs. They were both were/are out there, beat you at any given point in the game. Yeah, it's true. Yeah. I mean, 100% agree with that. I think the comparison is there for Carter/Moss and Thielen/Jefferson. Yeah, I think that is very close. I mean, it's a perfect comparison. Carter was a great possession type of receiver, much like Thielen. Moss and Jefferson want to beat you any way they can at any time. And it doesn't look like it's slowing down. And it hasn't slowed down at all because 2020, we all know what happened with Diggs, but Diggs was kind of like that, but I just think sometimes Diggs would do some things that you'd scratch your head on. Justin doesn't really do that. He's more of a guy that's going out there for the team aspect, and you got to feed the guy. I mean, it's that simple. You got to feed the guy. Dalvin Cook, you have Dalvin there too. So, but I agree with Victor. I think the Thielen, Jefferson, Carter, Moss comparison is spot on. So we got that going. But it was one hell of a game. The turkey leg and everything after the game was great. Moss says Happy Thanksgiving after his big day. And the video there and the gifts. So, what a Thanksgiving it was for Vikings fans. I wish I kind of knew what was going on at that time, but I was 4 years old. You were 4 years old.
No idea.
I mean, no clue. But that's something Papa Callahan and Jimbo could tell us.
Oh yeah, totally.
I think that's another experience that I'd like to pick their brains on there too. So, But anyway, that's the North Remembers. It was fun doing that again. It's always fun doing the North Remembers. So, good times as always. A, we've got some baseball things. So, the first, we're starting off with the Minnesota Twins. Got a lot of thoughts on that. And then we're going to, there's some Hall of Fame stuff. David Ortiz, A-Roid, A-Rod, whatever you want to call it. And the NBA. Oof. LeBron, the suspensions, got a lot to talk on that. College football, obviously we're chatting about that too. Maybe a little NFL. So, hey, it's time for Absurd or Approved.
It's time for everyone's favorite segment, Absurd or Approved.
All right, it is time for Absurd or Approved. So, Voldy, why don't you rattle them off for us, please?
Well, the Minnesota Twins announced late last week they're a 40-man roster, at least for the time being, with a couple of additions, some subtractions, and a lot of question marks as we go into the winter, and of course with free agency and everybody in between to see what the 2022 Minnesota Twins roster is going to look like. Some interesting notes, of course, did include the addition of the young prospects that are coming up for the Twins, including which Royce Lewis was added to the 40-man roster, and Jose Miranda, along with a few other pitchers as well for the Minnesota Twins, at least some young arms in that regard. Additionally, the Twins did also sign Jake Cave to another major league contract, 1 year, $800,000, while also outrighting left-handed pitcher Devin Smeltzer and outfielder Kyle Garlick to AAA St. Paul. But one of the more interesting notes, besides the Jake Cave signing as well for the Twins, Willians Astudillo, a cult legend for the Minnesota Twins, was released and designated for release or for assignment as well. So very well could be the end of the line. I mean, it is, as of right now, the end of the line for La Tortuga in Twins territory. Looking at the situation currently with the Twins roster, and obviously, too, with Byron Buxton and his contract situation, bit of a two-part question as well.
Sure.
A, is it a bad signing for the Buxton deal that the Twins went and signed Jake Cave to keep him on the roster? And what of Willians Astudillo? Do you think we'll ever see him back in a Twins uniform?
Both good questions. Voldy, we talk about this all the time. I feel like we talk about it. There's a lot of questionable things. With this team. And this is one of them. Jake Cave, you go and sign Jake Cave. Okay, 1-year deal. That's fine. But we're just hearing reports left and right about how they don't know what they want to do with Buxton. Well, isn't he better on the field? It's proven. Mm-hmm. It's been a proven fact that when Byron Buxton is healthy, he is very good. And again, they win more games when he is on the field. Now, I understand. Okay, I understand the injury issues. I understand what it is with that. I mean, I get that. But the guy has talent like no other. This guy is a great center field. He's a great fielder for one. He got better hitting. I mean, each year, I think he's improved. He's gone to improve. But the one thing I think they're concerned about is the injuries. And I don't blame him. I don't blame him in that aspect. But with no salary cap, you can afford to do that. You can. There's ways you can do that. I think you pay the guy. You pay Byron Buxton. If you do not, that just proves our point. It's always been proving our point, okay? Don't get me wrong. Because the damn Polats are cheap as hell. And that's the reason why we're in the position we're in. Because they don't know it's like, well, he's got injuries. We don't want to overpay. You can overpay.
Yep.
You can overpay. Just do it. That's all we ask. So to answer your question, so let's get to the second part of this question. I say you extend Buxton, but La Tortuga, I'm left scratching my head a little bit. The reason why I am is because I don't think they've made their mind up on La Tortuga. And I think he's been productive, and I think there's a lot of good things with Astudillo. Could he be better with hitting? Yeah, but when he's on the base path, he's dangerous, man. I mean, he's kind of like a Swiss Army knife, as we like to say here. But I don't think you should let him go. I think it's a mistake. And I don't know, I'm losing faith in Falvey and Levine. I really am. And, aside from the money thing and whatnot, I think they should, designate him for assignment. I just feel like he comes up to the big leagues, then they send him back. Comes up, comes back, comes up, comes back. But I think it's absurd if they don't extend Buxton. I think it's absurd that they are releasing or assignment. I think it's a mistake. So, yeah. Voldy, what do you think?
I find why do we keep playing this sick and twisted, cruel game with Jake Cave? Yeah. I mean, we've got 9 outfielders. We've got Trevor Larnach. We've got Alex Kirilloff coming back as well. You just optioned and outrighted Kyle Garlick. You've got an entire starting outfield at AAA. There's plenty of guys down there that can fill that out as well. I mean, not to mention you still got Max Kepler still on the Major League roster. I know that I'm all about depth, but at the same time, look, Jake Cave ain't the Jake Cave that used to be Jake Cave. That's well past his time as well. Save yourself the money. Give Jake Cave his moment in the sun, which he already had the last 2-3 seasons. Let him go somewhere else. I don't understand why they keep signing him and why they keep bringing him back. You got to put all your eggs in that basket with Byron Buxton because you know what? It it's not looking a whole lot better beyond him. Yes, you've got Kirilov, and yes, you've got, Trevor Larnach hopefully coming back fully healthy this year, especially with Kirilov as well. You got Royce Lewis, who could potentially be a guy to help out maybe 2-3 years down the road, but we'll see him coming off ACL surgery at the end of spring training at the end of that last season as well. So who knows if he'll be fully ready to go by the time pitchers and catchers report. And you got to put all your money in that, because you just don't get a Byron Buxton coming in every year, basically. I mean, he's a once in a generational type talent, and so far, yes, the injuries are a thing, and it took him a while to get fully settled and the type of hitter that he was going to be. But boy, this was the year. If he would have stayed healthy, I mean, he would have had serious talks about MVP caliber type season. He was in that conversation very early on the season. So you got to throw all your eggs in the Byron Buxton basket. I'm going to say it as well. And on the other side with Williams Astudillo, I don't understand, what more he could have done to prove himself. Maybe hit a little bit better, I guess. I mean, he was a catcher, infielder, played the outfield, pitched a little bit as well. Probably had the best ERA of the Twins for a good while when they were getting smoked quite often. But, I mean, Astudillo, obviously a fan favorite, but if the numbers aren't fully supporting him being on the Major League roster, and when he was down at AAA, still, he did all right for himself, but maybe not to the Major League level that a lot of people were looking for in that front office. Will we see him in a Twins uniform? I certainly hope so, for the Twins fans' sake, and, being able to have that, at least something, knowing that, if there's no Byron Buxton, at least we could look towards La Tortuga. But if that's not even going to be a thing, who knows? Who knows who the Twins fans are going to be cheering for, besides just the fact that they don't finish 30 games under 500 or something. So I really want to see him back in a Twins uniform, too. He's good for baseball.
Couldn't agree more on that. Well, let me ask you one thing. I don't know. I feel like I've asked you this before, but Devin Smeltzer, I mean, are we still in on him, or are we off that train? What do you think?
I mean, I'm still on it.
Okay.
Just because, he hasn't gotten a chance. And when he has, it's been, unfortunately, you would think a guy like him would be able to pitch in any situation, but just hasn't been to his favor. It's been spot starts. It's been late notice. It's been, okay, you pitched in AAA 2-3 days ago. Let's get you a major league start now.
True.
And, maybe him starting off in AAA, because the way the Twins season ended as well, I mean, their AAA pitching staff was their major league staff for the last month and a half of the season. And you know what? Didn't look all that bad towards the end of the year, too. I mean, there were some promising guys that did help out. Griffin Jacks and Bailey Ober as well filled in some of the gaps towards the end of the year. You know what? I think this is going to be the year. This is going to be the final year for Devin Smeltzer to hopefully prove himself, if anything, because if not, I mean, maybe he'll be a trade piece or something, or you know what, maybe the Twins will just cut all ties with him to begin with. So this is going to have to be the year for Devin Smeltzer.
Okay. I did want your thoughts on that, because I know you've kind of been a big proponent of it, so I'm glad we're discussing this. So, but Victor brought up something which I think is perfect. No extension, say goodbye to game day revenue. They're losing that right now, and I'm not joking when I'm saying this, because they don't put, and I'm going to use vulgarity here, they don't put asses in seats during the summer, because they're not in contention. There's your star players are out. Sano strikes out a lot, and Sano you can rely on sometimes, but not all the time. You wish you could, but you lose Buxton, you're losing interest with a lot of these teams now, with this team. And not only that, but who would want to go see a team with Jake Cave and without Astudillo, La Tortuga, a guy that people really love too. Maeda, we don't know where he's been, and Larnach was kind of a nice surprise. The rookie that they had, I forget his name, Ryan, I think, Joe Ryan, I can't remember. But but there's nobody there that you're like, I got to see this guy play. I got to see this guy. There's really nobody. I mean, Mitch Garver, Like, I mean, I do like Mitch Garver. I think he's a good player.
I do too.
I think there's a lot of good players on the team. Well, look at what Eddie Rosario did. After leaving the Twins, and like you said, Kirilloff. I mean, Kirilloff's got some promise, but yeah. And then the Blue Jays paid Barrios. It comes down to money. It comes down to these damn owners, man. That's all I got to say. So we'll see what happens coming up in spring. So anyway, we're sticking with MLB. So Voldy, next one, please.
Yeah, earlier this week that the Major League Baseball Writers Association of America did announce the first appearance and those first-year eligible players that are up for a Hall of Fame election coming up here later this winter and into the early spring of next year. A lot of familiar names, and it's hard to believe that a lot of these guys' career ended 5 years ago as per the minimum to show up on the Hall of Fame ballot. Some of the popular names that did show up, first-time candidates, David Ortiz, Big Papi, Alex Rodriguez, Ryan Howard, Tim Lincecum. Other names including, of course, former Twins Justin Morneau, Joe Nathan, former shortstop Jimmy Rollins, pitcher Jake Peavy, and then we see like Carl Crawford, Prince Fielder, Jonathan Papelbon, AJ Przinsky, Mark Teixeira. It's crazy to think all these guys' career ended 5 years ago, but obviously they are up for all Hall of Fame election as well, with some of the other holdovers that do remain on the ballot from last year. Looking at this list of first-year eligible guys, another two-part question as well.
Sure.
First part: are any of these guys that you see first-year eligible players? First year and first ballot Hall of Famers, and also who do you think out of this list of 13 guys would make the Hall of Fame as well?
Ortiz, I think for sure.
Duh.
I think it's that simple. Because it still comes down to baseball writers, right?
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay,
yes,
so it comes down. Okay, because I could see them now. I know he's our Timberwolves owner, part owner or whatever, however you want to put it. But again, there was the cheating, the steroids, drug balls, all that fun stuff, performance enhancing drugs. So I mean, if there weren't any of that, then yeah, A-Rod. But I still think that he might get it either way. J-Raw, man. I love Jimmy Rollins. It's just a great name. Jimmy Rollins, mm-hmm. Jake Peavy. God, I remember watching all these guys. All these. Prince Fielder. Oh, man. Carl Crawford. Speed. And then Morneau, of course. Morneau, the Eminem brothers with
yes, sir.
Maurer and Morneau. Teixeira. Yeah, I wouldn't say Teixeira would be. I don't know if he's first ballot. Joe Nathan among those names. Yeah, I agree with you on that. But yeah, I'd probably say Ortiz. I mean, that's almost a given. Ryan Howard, Tim Lincecum.
Come on, it's the freak.
Yeah, I know he's
big
good.
Game Timmy Jims.
Okay, all right, no, maybe him too. I mean, there's some holdovers: Bobby Abreu, Mark Burley, Todd Helton, Tim Hudson. Our guy Torrey Hunter, I think he deserves to be in there. Gary Sheffield, Manny, Sammy Sosa, and whatnot. But again, like we were talking, it comes down to the writers. I'd probably say Papi is almost a given. All the other guys, I think J-Raw, Morneau, but I think they would disagree. I think Papelbon definitely one hell of a closer for the Red Sox, and I think the Phillies too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, and also pitched a little bit for the Nationals too for a hot second.
So yeah, I could see that. Clemens is still not in. Bond's still not in. But because there's a lot of background with going with that. But I think you have to, in this instance, you have to mark down Ortiz for sure. All the other guys, yeah, I could see it. But A-Rod, I think they could probably move past the whole A-Rod thing, and I think they'll probably put him in. But I don't know. I mean, it's kind of you don't really know with the baseball writers. So I would say Big Papi, A-Rod probably will get in. So Voldy, what do you got?
Yeah, for sure. First ballot Hall of Famer, it's got to be David Ortiz.
Yeah.
I mean, he broke all the records for designated hitters, and he's one of the guys you first think of when you think of DH, and obviously clutch hitting, 3-time World Series champion, obviously an MVP in his own right as well. Has got all the records when it comes to designated hitter statistics too. He's a for sure first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Other than that, of some of the new guys, I mean, maybe as a very, very dark horse, I would probably say like maybe Tim Lincecum as a first ballot Hall of Famer, because he took the world by storm when he came into the league too.
Yeah.
Cy Young Award winner, and he won obviously World Series with the San Francisco Giants to kind of revitalize that franchise in the early 2010s. He was a big part, obviously, his funky delivery through multiple no-hitters as well. That certainly is a very, helps him out in that department. I mean, that's a very, very dark horse. Other guys that could get into the Hall of Fame, too, I'm looking at maybe... Jake Peavy would be a guy I think would get into the Hall of Fame for some reason. Maybe Jimmy Rollins, too. If we're going to go Jonathan Papelbon, maybe towards the end of his eligibility. I would like to see at least Morneau or Nathan get in. That would be great to see, but I mean, that's going to be some tough sledding, but obviously, Morneau being in a time at his position in the American League, an American League first baseman from the mid 2000s to the early 2010s. There was a log jam over there at first base when it came to either Silver Sluggers, Gold Gloves, All-Star appearances. It was tough sledding during that time as well. Maybe Prince Fielder, but again, his injury cut short by his career, cut short by injuries. I mean, if he would have stayed healthy and played another 3 or 4 years, I think he would have definitely been a for sure Hall of Famer. But the only first ballot guy is definitely Big Papi for sure.
Yep, I couldn't agree with you more. And it's so cool seeing those names because I all those guys I would watch, all watch and whatnot. But I mean, it'll be interesting, and like we said, there's going to be a lot of controversy once it all comes out, I think. So we'll see how it happens. I mean, it'd be a travesty if Papi wasn't. Well, it wasn't right in there right away. So it'd be an absolute travesty. So, but anyway, next one, Voldy.
Well, this one by special request here from Austin Hanley. We're talking about the incident that did happen this past week with Los Angeles Lakers and the Detroit Pistons. Isaiah Stewart getting scuffed up, if you want to put that lightly, against LeBron James during an altercation when going for a rebound, I think it was, or maybe a free throw as well, where LeBron got a little bit slap happy, if we want to go with that saying as well. Both players being suspended, especially after the tirade and the altercation on the court led by Isaiah Stewart as well. Multiple instances where he tried to charge after LeBron James and the Lakers as well. James got 1 game, while also Isaiah Stewart got a pair of games as well for his role in the incident, as this was at Madison Square Garden earlier this week as well, actually, when this did take place. And very interesting to see, just because of the fact that, you don't get a whole lot of this as well. But looking at the situation, do you think LeBron James should have gotten more games for his role in the scuffle, in the melee?
Ooh, now that's a good question. And I've always had LeBron's back in certain situations. And I will say that I think he probably should have been suspended a little bit longer, just because I think the NBA needed to show it doesn't matter who you are. We're still going to, give you a lengthy deal here. Now, with them giving their explanation, which again, I see why they would say, okay, Stewart should be suspended more too for escalating it, right? And you saw him bowl through people. I mean, he wanted to throw hands, like big time.
Oh, yeah.
He wanted to throw, and Russell Westbrook, everything like that. But man, he got struck bad. Like, I mean, he's bleeding big time. Blood coming out and whatnot. I mean, not a good sight. Now, LeBron can play it down all he wants. Okay, LeBron can play it down all he wants, but you still. What happened is you got angry. You go back. You throw elbows. It happens in the game, but that one was pretty evident. Mm-hmm. That one was pretty evident right there. So I think he should have been suspended more games. And I think Victor kind of is putting saying what I'm saying here. LeBron should have gotten 2 games, 3 for Stewart. I think 1 game for LeBron is like a slap on the hand, or as we like to say, slap on the wrist too. Either one works. But I agree. I think they probably should have made a statement and said, listen, it doesn't matter who you are, okay? But I think LeBron's not known for being that controversial, right? And it was a situation where he got pissed and he had enough and he smacked him. I mean, he smacked him good. And, elbows, man. I've gotten hit with an elbow, and let me tell you, not pleasant. Not pleasant at all. It hurts like hell. No. It hurts like hell. And, Isaiah Stewart, he was really trying to get after, but man, he was going through those guys like Dalvin Cook going through tacklers. It was crazy, from that perspective. But I think it should have been a little bit more. But you know what? It doesn't matter anymore. What's done is done. That's about it. So, Voldy, what do you think?
It's hard to believe that in 19 years for LeBron James, this is his first ever suspension. It's only 1 game, but you would thought with the intent out there on the court and the video to back it up as well, that it would have been at least a 2, maybe 3 game suspension. And, he appeals that he gets at least 1. So you think there would have been at least some regards like, let's kind of shoot for the over on this one, see what kind of happens with, it's like, I want to give him 1, but let's shoot for 3 here and see what we get out of LeBron to see if he'll appeal it or not. But for Isaiah Stewart, 2 games, maybe putting it lightly, putting it in that regard. If he would have been able to, take somebody out fully, it would have definitely been a heck of a lot more, 2, if not 3 times as many games. But, he was assessed 2 technical fouls, and, LeBron was given a flagrant 2, and as they were both ejected, thus leading to the suspensions. If it would have been 2 games for LeBron, it probably would have been 4 for Stewart as well. But I mean, seeing this kind of situation too, and taking a look at the video, I thought it was purely incidental. But no, I mean, LeBron, he got his money's worth on that one, at least from the angle and from the video, given the situation of trying to go up for the ball at the same time, but then turning around and giving Stewart piece of his mind a little bit. And now you do the crime. Now you got to pay the fine on this one. And the fine is 1 game suspension. I think the suspension is warranted. Just would have seen another game or so added on top of it.
Because I think it's put best. I mean, it is kind of a slap on the wrist, because they take games off to rest too. So I mean, it's like that. But I think it should have been a little bit more. And I've been a backer of LeBron. I'm not just huge LeBron fan, but I'm just saying I think that you do the crime, you got to do the time. And it's like you said too, and that's just how it is. And LeBron, I think, is, he is a classy guy and whatnot, and he just got pissed. That happens. People get mad. Whoop-de-doo. At least it could have been worse. It could have been so much worse.
Could have been a lot worse.
Could have been, it could have been Malice at the Palace,
Yep,
that
exactly. That was the first thing I thought. I was like, okay, here we go. Malice in the Palace Part 2, but nope, at MSG, and no, we didn't get that close, but
or
too
in Detroit,
bad.
Exactly. But still, I agree. That's funny how we're both thinking the same thing there. So that's awesome. All right, next one, Voldy.
Well, after following an overtime loss, the Florida Gators to Missouri this past weekend, it was announced on Sunday morning that the Florida Gators are parting ways with their head coach, that being Dan Mullen, even a year removed from the Gators appearing in the SEC championship game and playing eventual national champion Alabama as close as anybody. Dan Mullen and the Florida Gators are no more, thus ending the return tenure for Dan Mullen, which he was famous as the offensive coordinator in his time in the Tim Tebow era of the Florida Gators as well. writing kind of on the wall as well. If this wasn't going to be a banner year for Florida, it was already on the hot seat to begin with. But, dating back to the end of last season, the Gators, an abysmal record against Power 5 conference opponents, and that being 2-9 against teams in the Power 5 conferences as well. 34-15 in 4 seasons at Florida. You know what? It'll be the 4th head coach in the last 8 seasons for the Gators as well, but not a bad record. But unfortunately, a lot of those losses were against the teams that they should have beat and or in the situations like, bowl games, championship game appearances as well, and some of those big rivalry games that, you should definitely be winning as well. But for Dan Mullen, it was not in the cards for him as well. Looking back at the situation as well, what's it going to take here for the Florida Gators to be able, with Dan Mullen now out, who do you think will be the next head coach for the Florida Gators?
That's a great question because I don't know. I think this is a better question for a zoner named Zach Huntley.
It's too bad we couldn't get him on tonight.
Yeah, it's too bad. But I would have liked to hear his thoughts. But, man, Florida really demands a really good football coach. I mean, especially with the record that he had, too. But before we get into that, Wild, still 2-0 Wild after 2. Quick update. Talbot is on it tonight. Let's go. I love it. 25 saves through 2. That's good. And that's what we need. We need this one. They got to win tonight. They absolutely do. But anyway, back to the ARA question. What do they got to do? It's the search. You're not going to find guys that you would expect. And I don't think this will happen because I've been pretty vocal on it too. But I could see the name of Urban Meyer be brought up again as a second stint, but I doubt it. I don't think that's going to happen. You're going to have to really, dig deep to find these types of find a coach that you want that would fit the University of Florida. I think that Louisiana coach, Billy Napier, is a guy that I think you could look at and maybe bring in.
Right.
Don't anybody say PJ Fleck because that ain't going to happen. He's staying in Minnesota, I think. It's
nope.
He's been pretty vocal on that, too. But I think some people would be like, it wouldn't surprise me. No, I don't think he's going anywhere. Would be interesting. Interesting. But, yeah, I think Napier would probably be a guy to look at. Don't even ask Mike Tomlin. That whole deal. That was phenomenal, by the way. To Mike Tomlin, props out to Mike Tomlin for his answer to that about the USC job. And now you have to battle with USC, so that's factored in there too. Victor says, imagine Meyer back in Florida, and he hires Mullen as his OC again. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, he's in Florida already. He's in Jacksonville. So, he's right there. And the Jaguars, they're a mess, too. So, if that's what they want to go with, I don't know. But, I'd probably say him. But after that, there's really not much to go on with coaches. I got to be honest, unless things change or you give an offer to somebody that's going to make the big changes. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this was the right move, but they made their decision. So, Voldy, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, there's not only the factor as the USC job open as well, but you're also looking at LSU, Washington, Virginia Tech, and TCU, all with head coaching openings with Power 5 conferences as well. And let's just say a lot of Power 5 coaches, not exactly just floating around to begin with as well. I mean, there's a lot of openings. Probably not going to be a whole lot of Power 5 coaches that are going to be open as well. Who knows? Maybe Dan Mullen will go to Washington or TCU or something like that and, try to breathe some life into that program too. Wouldn't put it past anybody. And some of those other coaches that did get fired, maybe Ed Orgeron will go back to USC. Maybe we'll see. Maybe he'll go to Washington. Maybe he'll go to Virginia Tech. I don't know. There's all those possibilities. Billy Napier, obviously the one name that keeps getting thrown up for the likes of the Florida job, but also he's very high on the Virginia Tech list if he wants to leave Louisiana too. But a lot of names being maybe not thrown out there right now, but I'm sure the one that always comes to mind too is obviously Urban Meyer in that situation. But I doubt he'd leave the Jaguars right now. I'd be very surprised to see if he ends up doing that, given the season that it's already been for him on and off the field as well.
Yep.
So maybe a little bit of stability in that regard would probably be the best medicine for him in his career right now. Who's going to be a head coach of Florida? I don't know. That's up for the AD and the school president to try and figure out. I guess we'll just be there when it happens.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, like you said, I agree. Ed Orgeron, I did forget about that. That is another name.
Joe, baby.
Coach. Go Joe Burrow.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers. Just
That's pretty good at Coach O right there. I'm not going to lie. That was pretty good.
No, I appreciate that. I've actually worked, ever since they won the national championship, I've actually been working on, Coach O, let's go football, bro. And it's just, it's got that low voice. I don't know what it is.
Those jowls he's got.
Yeah. I want to see, I've seen him get mad, but I want to get like audio of it.
Totally.
But yeah, I could see Coach O too, though. I mean, in all honesty, I could see that too. But Coach, that might be on the hot seat. So next one, Foldy.
Yeah, the Matt Nagy experience in Chicago for the Chicago Bears may or may not be coming to an end here as early as tomorrow. At least that's what some of the initial reports had say at the start of the week, that Matt Nagy could potentially be fired after the Detroit Lions game, regardless of the results in that contest. You'd think a win would probably help out in that regard, but a loss would certainly put the writing on the wall. And addressing those reports yesterday, Nagy said that is not accurate as well. And the heat has picked up so much so that Matt Nagy is getting booed at his kids' high school football games when in attendance as well, which is which is low and also hilarious at the very same time, because there were a couple instances where that did happen. And, it's been very, I wouldn't say an up and down year. It's been a down and maybe like a slight little bump, like a speed bump of up in the regard for the Chicago Bears. The back and forth as of late between Justin Fields, him getting a little bit nicked up, and also for Andy Dalton, who started off at the beginning year before he got hurt in that regard, and 3-7 on the year. Yeah. You're going to winless and 0-9-1 Detroit for the Chicago Bears to go in on to Thanksgiving. Looking at it right now, the current situation with Matt Nagy and everything, if the Bears lose tomorrow on Thanksgiving, for lack of a better term, is Matt Nagy's ass is grass. Will he get fired?
Victor says, I hope it happens. So there's that. That means, Chicago, they're not making the playoffs. Let's put it like that. They just lost Khalil Mack for the year. So there's that. Defensively, they're not the same. Offensively, they're abysmal. Allen Robinson can't haul in a catch to save his gosh darn life. And trust me, I know fantasy football-wise. But Matt Nagy, I just think that experience is done. I think that if they lose to Detroit, and let's remember, yes, they have a tie, but this would be the first one for Detroit on the season. Detroit's a bad team, too. Let's be honest. And, with Justin Fields. But, that prediction that Austin Hanley had before, that's going out pretty well, isn't it? Kirk Cousins is in almost the NFL MVP race and things like that. Isn't that interesting? Huh. Anyway, so he says my focus is these players in Detroit, then that's it. That's my job. He did miss the meeting that they usually have with the owner and GM and everything, usually during the week. But, it's a short week, That's not nothing. That's not nothing, because that is something that that's almost a no-no. Like,
every action has a consequence.
That. Yep, every action right there. If they lose to Detroit, I think Nagy's gone. 100% Voldy. I think Nagy is gone. You can stick a fork in Chicago this year. Absolutely, right away, right now. They're not a good team. Their offense, I think it's just way too complicated. I think Justin Fields has had moments. He's showing that he can be a good quarterback. I think he can. Okay, I think he can. But Matt Nagy, not a good coach. But okay, at a Suns high school football game, okay, it's low, but at the same time,
it's pretty funny. Let's be
honest.
honest.
It's kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie. I hate to be a Richard, but it's true. Bye, Felicia, Victor says here. So yeah, I agree. I think he's gone if they lose to the Lions this week. He might even be gone if they win by a field goal or something. I don't know.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So Voldy, what do you think?
Yeah, if it's a loss for Chicago tomorrow, yeah, just pack. Don't even show up the rest of the year. Just start turning your pads in on Friday, basically, because the season is over. Especially for Matt Nagy, they lose, it's done. It's unfortunately a rebuilding season for them as well. Even if they do win, I know that the pressure is not going to be off of Nagy for the following week too, because obviously with the turnaround, this being a short week, and then you get the Sunday off, and then you go into next week getting ready to go for the following week too. Yeah, I think the pressure is going to remain on Matt Nagy. If they do lose, I mean, that's for sure writing on the wall. Yeah, he might not even make it out of Detroit, too. He might have to find his own way back to Chicago, a la Lane Kiffin being left by Alabama after the national championship game. So, I mean, I could definitely see that happening, too. Yeah, if they lose, it's all done for Matt Nagy.
I couldn't agree more. And, again, I mean, his report card. I mean, the years that he's been head coach, in first season 2018, they won 12-4. Okay?
Yeah.
Mitch Trubisky.
The double doink.
Yeah,
that was
the
double doink year, wasn't it?
That was. It sure was.
There you go.
And, they finished the year in 2019 8-8, 2020 8-8, and they really didn't do much. Trubisky was a bust. He still is a bust, and whatnot. But, yeah, I think, people are like, well, Fields needs better coaching. Well, it could be both, too. But I agree. Yep. I think he's gone after the season. So, or not after, if they lose to Detroit. It's that simple. Stamp of approval. So, all right. That'll do it for ARA. Great job as always, Voldy.
Thank you, sir.
We're going into Thanksgiving. Okay. The zoners know that, they're going to be eating a lot of turkey, things like that.
Oh, yeah.
But for some of us that have to work, like myself, unfortunately, but
Me
we'll
too.
get to that. Hey, there you go. We're both working. We work hard. That's what we want to hear. But we got some Shield shout-outs tonight, and a little gobble going on. So we want to thank you, the zoners, too. So it's time for some Shield shout-outs.
Shield shoutouts.
Before we get into Shield shoutouts, Victor, he has been on point tonight. I had a Bears fan telling me that Mitch Trubisky was a better quarterback. Trubisky was a better quarterback than Cousins. Wow. It's like, do you guys just want this dustpan or what? I mean, I'll give it to you. It's right here. I can't wait to give it to somebody else. Austin Hanley, it's coming to you, my man. But anyway, let's get into some Shield shout-outs. So, Shield, who are you shouting out tonight?
Well, first off, we do want to wish everybody happy, safe, and healthy Thanksgiving coming up tomorrow as well. For those that are going to be traveling, for those that have already traveled to your destination, congratulations. You made it there safely. Enjoy your Blackout Wednesday responsibly, of course. Be sure to always also, for those who are going to be traveling tomorrow, be sure to be safe out on the roadways as well, whether you're flying, you're driving, or whatever, have a good time, be safe, and enjoy the holiday as well. And be sure to spend time with friends, family, loved ones as well. Say that you're thankful, and obviously have a good time in the process. Eat too much, drink a lot, watch football. It's all in the cards as well. Me personally, well, I got to work tomorrow, and I got to work Friday, and I got to work Saturday. So, we'll make it work regardless. But you know what? Just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving in that regard. And also got one other Shield shout out as well to our creative consultant, Mrs. Sarah Ann Tuzvold, who finally got her CPO certificate. I believe it is a certified para-optic optician. I don't know. It's big fancy words as well. All I know is she's smarter than me, and she got her certificate officially the other day as well. She passed the test for a CPO test in August, but she finally got the certificate. It's hanging up in the office at work right now at the eye care centers of Aiken and of McGregor as well. So congratulations to her. And that is actually going to do it for Shield Shoutouts this week. It's a real short week, and it's a real short list here this week.
Hey, it's a short but great list. It's a great list.
Yeah.
So congratulations to our creative consultant on her certificate, her CPO. Fantastic. We love it. Absolutely love it. So great job with Shield Shoutouts, Voldy. Couldn't agree more. Happy Thanksgiving from us to you guys as well. I hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving. Eat a lot. I mean, there's a lot of good food. I mean, thank your mothers, thank your fathers, whoever's cooking. Make sure to thank them and whatnot. So, but there's another thing that you can do. You know how people talk about Black Friday and, getting, all these deals and things like that? You know what would be a great deal, though? We always have great deals at MinneZona Sports Live. We've got merch, people. We've got shirts. We've got an inventory of shirts. If you haven't gotten a shirt, we'll get you a shirt. $20, $5 shipping. Not only does that help us, it helps us keep you guys, giving you MinneZona Sports Live. Episode 88. We are approaching season 3. Hard to believe. But it keeps us here online for the eCamp service and whatnot. So we got shirts. Also, we got stickers. $2 for these bad boys. We have the big ones as well. We got $3, the bumper stickers. We're going to get our Pick'em winner. Make sure you guys do your Pick'ems too, okay? Pick'em is prominent. Voldy and myself have moved up the ranks. It's going down. Jack Vickers, he's leading the pack. But we're coming. We're coming. But anyway, we got that. Sweatshirts we're working on as well, so we'll get to that. But hats. Check out that hat that Voldy's got on right there. Fantastic hat. $20, $5 shipping. We've got some hats. They look fantastic. Pristine. But it's that good. It's that good. Victor says, I forgot to do my pick'em last week. F's in the chat, please. I think I can't believe you missed, but there's still opportunity. There is still opportunity. There might be some prizes.
We'll see.
We'll see. But also check out W2 Performance. Will Rattel, he's got some new content recently with videos and whatnot. Make sure you check him out on YouTube. Go to www.w2performance.com for more. Thank you to National Fleet Graphic, Crown Rental, Tyler Knutson for the stickers. Fantastic as always. And check out Jack's Junkyard now with Apparel, Jack O'Keefe, our guy. And then the Breaking Into the League podcast, Sam Gabrielli, Ryan Martin, available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So there's a whole lot of things going on there. But like I said, too, pick 'em. Make sure you guys get your pick 'em in. Victor, get it in, man. That's all I got to say. Got to get them in. But make sure you do that because, got a whole slate of games tomorrow, so it'll be fun for Thanksgiving. So, but anyway, great job, Voldy, tonight.
Thank you, sir.
It was great getting a show in before Thanksgiving, and hopefully we eat a lot and have it getting going. Already locked it in for this week, boys.
There we go.
My man.
Love it.
My man. We love it. So, anyway, thank you, Zoners, for listening. And remember, as always, folks, keep in the zone.
Holla.
Thank you for watching MinneZona Sports Live. Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. for live show broadcast. And as Voldy likes to say, follow us on all the socials medias.